It's after midnight. You wake suddenly, unsure of what startled you from a deep sleep. You can feel the cool breeze blowing in through the open window. You smell him before you see him, like a wet towel that was balled up in a corner and never dried. He's standing at the end of your bed. In the dim light of the moon, you can see the outline of spiky hair, but it's his face that holds your terrified gaze. It looks like his skin is melting from his face. He lunges and you scream, but it's too late. The beast of Jersey has you. I'm Marina. With me, I have my best friend, Laura, and this is Grim.
I'm too disturbed by your opener to even properly jam out to our music. I knew you told me I wasn't going to like this one. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you uttered the words, "It's midnight," I was like, nope.
I saw your face and I almost laughed.
And I know I looked down because I was like, I know you're going to laugh at my, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And you wrote that? My goodness, you little author.
I did.
That was really good.
And I was thinking about how I'm going to be murdered because this is window open season.
That was exactly what I thought when it said
Weather's
open
getting
window.
nice, guys.
Yep.
My windows are open.
Yep.
Come get me. So today we're talking about the Beast of Jersey, and this dude is Freddy Krueger, boogeyman level fucked up. This case was suggested to us by our gremlin, Kate H., and I want to thank her because I'd actually never heard of this case before, and now I'll forever be haunted by it. So I'm looking forward to sharing my horror and assaulting your ear holes.
Yeah, thanks, Kate.
While almost every case we cover is fucked up, this one involves a lot of sexual assault and a lot of sexual assault against children. So if that's a trigger, just go ahead and skip this episode.
I know. I'm not allowed to.
No, you are not.
Okay.
For this case, I relied heavily on a blog by the true crime enthusiast covering this case. I said enthusiast.
I was like, is that how it's spelled?
Enthusiast.
Okay.
I also listened to serial killing podcasts coverage of this story, and then I read through various articles just to make sure I had everything, including some from the Jersey Evening Post. I think True Crime Enthusiast got most of their information. There is a book on this case that was written by this guy's wife. But it's out of print, so you can only buy expensive used copies, and I couldn't get my hands on a copy in time.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I think there were some like used ones on Amazon, but I just wasn't going to get it in time.
Never really processed the idea of a book being out of print, that we would research. I don't know. It never crossed my mind because we can get everything on the internet these days, which you can. Like you said, you just can get an expensive used version. But
yeah, exactly.
Never really thought about it.
So I just relied on other people who did the dirty work for me.
Fair.
So thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Hey, you credited them.
Before we start, we have some Patreon shout outs.
Yes, I would like to live in Patreon world for the rest of this episode. No more Beast of New Jersey. We'll just do Patreon shout outs the whole time. That's the whole episode.
Patreon.
Yeah, I don't think you should be pronouncing things. Enthusiast.
Enthusiast. We have Patreon shout outs. First up, we have Milla P.
Milla.
We love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Becky R.
Becky R. We love you. Thank you, Becky.
Miko Yaz.
Miko,
we love
you.
Petra C.
Petra,
we love you. Thank you so
Petra.
much.
Woo.
And Tori G.
Tori G.
Tori, we love you so much.
We love you, Tori. Thank
guys,
you.
We love you so
We
much.
love you.
Thank you for your support. We love you.
They're like, and retracted.
And we're unsubscribing. So let's start by setting the scene. And I'm going to include a little history geography lesson because we all know that I need it. Mm-hmm. This case takes place in Jersey, and this is not New Jersey for our American listeners like I originally thought.
Oh, this whole time, that is, I was going to make a Springsteen joke.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Jersey is one of the Channel Islands off of the northwest coast of France in the English Channel. Although it's closer to France than the United Kingdom is constitutionally responsible for Jersey's defense and international representation.
Well, damn.
I know. The inhabitants speak English and they use British currency. They're a self-governing parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy.
That was a mouthful. However, I think we have had I think I have made that statement in previous I don't remember what case, but I think I've made that statement before.
What did we do that was like an island?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wasn't Aruba. It wasn't the one.
Oh, maybe it was.
It might have been.
Maybe it
It was
was.
probably slightly
Natalie
different.
Holloway.
Yeah, it was probably slightly different, but I think that might have been it because I think I went deep on what that meant. But it mattered there because it was like who had jurisdiction to actually like try the case and all that.
Yeah.
So,
This matters here a little bit with the police and like how everything
Interesting.
works out.
do they have British accents then? They're speaking English, but like
I'm sure they do.
The Queen's English.
Though there may be some French accents on the island too, because it's
Oh,
very
true.
close to France.
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 It's close to France, as we say here.
There's
Y'all.
some very French words in here, and I apologize well in advance of ruining them. Just ruining them.
Just say them with an overly absurd French accent, and then you might be close. And
You know I'm
either
gonna
way,
know.
it'll make it. That's true. Your Australian accent is questionable, and your British
Irish,
accent
right?
is not British.
I'm not going to be doing accents.
Oh, but I want you to because I'm going to need it because I'm going to be very upset, I think.
They're after me Lucky Charms.
Okay, at least you know that wasn't British. No, or French.
Okay, so anyways, Jersey has its own financial, legal, and judicial systems. Now, all the information about the government is less important than its size, given what we'll be talking about. The island's about 45 square miles, so it's 9 miles wide and 5 miles long.
Tiny.
Yep, it's known for its beaches, cliffside walking trails, and historic castles. And the estimated population in 2021, which is not when this case happened, but statistics, was about 103,000, which is actually smaller than the capital of Connecticut.
Wow.
So, in terms of population.
Yep,
So, this is not a big island and it's not densely populated.
I'm still blown away that I've never even heard of it, which I guess then makes sense why we have a New Jersey because we've stole everything from England.
We did do that. You're
Yeah,
right.
You know,
I'm not surprised that there's many a thing in my life I've never heard of, including Jersey.
I, on the other hand, think I know everything. so-
Anything geographical, goodbye.
Okay, true. Same.
Goodbye.
Same.
So the small island, that to me is what makes this case even wilder. To think about being trapped on an island with someone basically on a crime spree. So let's talk about the beast, shall we? So one of the citizens of the island was Edward John Louis Paisnel, who was born in 1925. There's very little on his childhood, but his father's name was Emile, and he came from a wealthy or prominent family. He was well respected throughout the island and well liked as far as I could tell. He had no criminal history except for one charge of theft. During German occupation during World War II, Ed was caught stealing food for starving families and was imprisoned for a month for it.
It's not very nice for to be in prison. I mean,
Oh, I'm like, you might be thinking, wow, what a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold that thought. Ed was employed as a handyman at a children's foster home called Le Préférence.
see, that sounded. I mean, to me, it sounded great.
Our French listeners are like, ugh. That was a foster home that was run by his future wife, Joan, who founded and ran the home with her mother. Ed and Joan married in 1959 when Ed was 34 years old. They had a daughter together, and Joan came into the marriage with 2 children from another relationship. Ed loved spending time at La Préférence foster home as well as Haut de la Garenne.
Hot.
I took
don't know.
0 French.
I took a lot of years of French, and I still don't know.
It's H-A-U-T.
But I don't think you pronounce the H when this is unimportant.
Haut de la Garenne.
Sure.
A place. Mm-hmm. There was a place. Mm-hmm. He was kind to children. He read to them, played with them, and he would hand out candy. During the holidays, he would dress up like Santa to pass out gifts, and the children knew him as Uncle Ted, which I checked that multiple sources because I was like, his name is Ed. So why are they calling him Uncle Ted? I don't know.
You know, I've been sitting here trying really, how I sometimes get into the story and then I forget what year things happen. So I've been very focused on that. Completely forgot his name.
Was Ed?
And so I thought it was Ted.
Nope.
Okay.
The first time I heard it, I was like, wait, is the guy's name Ted? No, it's Ed.
Okay.
Despite appearing happy, Joan and Ed did not have a happy marriage. They were basically roommates and they didn't even sleep in the same room. Ed built an annex off of the Paisnel home where he had an office and living space separate from his wife. He came and went as he pleased. As a fisherman, he kept odd hours and he liked to go for long walks at night to terrorize the island of Jersey. Ed's reign of terror began on this island and lasted a decade.
Oh my God.
In November of 1957, while waiting for a bus, a 29-year-old nurse was approached by Ed, who was using a fake Irish accent.
Oh, I didn't realize that was relevant.
Yep.
Okay.
She was wary because she could see he was wearing something that was covering his face. Before she knew what was happening, Ed hit her over the head, put a rope around her neck, and dragged her into a nearby field. He violently raped her, but she survived, requiring several stitches.
Oh, gosh.
A year later, in March 1958, a 20-year-old woman was walking home from a bus stop when she was approached by Ed, again using a fake Irish accent. His Irish accent must be like mine, that they were like, he's using a fake Irish accent.
Yeah.
Yep. He was wearing a long raincoat that she said was smelly, like must.
Ew.
Ed caught her off guard and put a rope around her neck, dragged her into the field, and sexually assaulted her. 4 months later, a 31-year-old was walking home from work when Ed caught her off guard, put a rope around her neck, dragged her into a field, and sexually assaulted her.
How long in between these attacks, roughly? Are we like months or years?
The first one was November 57. The next one was a year later, March 58. And then that one was 4 months later.
That's pretty far apart to like be able, even though it seems like a very similar MO, it's still, that's pretty far apart and seemingly random to make any connections.
Yeah. But I mean, if they're putting the information together, like it's very consistent.
Exactly.
Like
I just wonder if it was like close enough together for them to do that. I suppose you'll tell me if I let you continue telling me the case.
I'll try. Just let me talk. I don't know. A year later, in August 1959, Ed targets a young girl walking. He wraps the rope around her neck and drags her into the field. This young girl wasn't having it, though. She fought like hell against his efforts, and she actually succeeded in fighting him off of her.
Yeah.
She took off, and so did he. She went to the police, and she described her attacker just as the others had. She said he was wearing a foul-smelling raincoat with a rubber mask and a fake Irish accent. Again, I wish I knew what the accent sounded like.
No, bad it sounds like.
So bad. 2 months later, Ed targeted a 28-year-old woman out walking alone and again dragged her to a field before sexually assaulting her.
And it's probably, I'm deep in a book on my next case, so I've been reading the psychology on all very similar types of things. And I think each time it happens, he probably got more and more brazen because he was like, see, I got away with it. See, I got away with it. So it's just, yeah.
I know. See, for me, I'm not fascinated by it, but I'm so interested in the timing of when people do like 4 in a row and then like go like have a year break and then like 3 and then like 2 years. Like it reminds me of Dexter when he's like, I kept the dark passenger quiet. I don't know. Yeah. Like it's weird. Anyways, after these series of attacks, Ed becomes known as the Beast of Jersey. Not Ed personally, but his MO.
This attacker.
Yep. All of these victims describe the Beast as a man in his early to mid 40s, around 5'6", with the fake Irish accent. Everyone is very consistent that this raincoat smells horribly musty and that he keeps a rope tied around his waist that he takes off to tie their hands together.
Oh.
And up until this point, he'd been targeting the same type of people, mostly young girls and women walking alone to or from the bus stop. Now at least the police have something to go off of. And the police are trying to adequately warn the citizens to be vigilant, but they're at the same time trying to avoid panic so that it didn't impact tourism on the island.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yep. So Ed is aware that his usual hunting grounds are known. So what does he do? He changes it up. On Valentine's Day in 1960, Ed creeps into the dark room of a 12-year-old boy through an open window.
Oh, I forgot about your open. I was so deep
this is
in
how
the,
I
in
die.
the books.
This is how I die.
1,000%. Yep.
This young boy wakes up and sees Ed standing at the foot of his bed wearing a horrifying rubber mask and a woman's wig. Ed is holding a flashlight in the boy's face to further disorient him. But like the others, Ed put a rope around the boy's neck, tied his hands, led him outside of his home, and sexually assaulted the little boy in a field.
Oh my God.
I'm going to show you a picture of this guy's mask and coat and what would be standing at the end of your bed.
I'm actually going to have nightmares.
It's horrifying.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I hit the mic.
Isn't that?
That's a million times worse than what I don't even know what I was. I think I was
like
picturing
the skin melting off his face.
Stop showing me. It's like what Ed Gein wanted to be with his face mask.
It's like if Mike Myers and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had a baby.
Oh my God, stop showing me. It's rubber.
It's homemade.
Oh, yeah, I could tell.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you more about his outfit later too.
Oh my
but
God,
he was standing at the end of his bed in the dark.
I am actually going to have nightmares about that tonight.
So sorry.
Oh my
I
God.
told you I
Also,
just-
your tea is like steaming and I'm a little jumpy. So I kept eyeing it because it like made it look like there was movement behind you outside. So I'm a little jumpy. And now, thanks to that picture, I'm a lot of bit jumpy.
Okay.
So thanks.
Let's keep going. A month later, in March 1960, Ed approaches a 25-year-old woman walking to a bus stop. He dons his fake Irish accent and he tells her that he's a doctor on his way to pick up his wife. He asks her if she wants a ride and she agrees. The poor woman thought he was just a kind older gentleman. Once inside of the car, she sees that he's wearing a long raincoat, a hat, and gloves, and she realizes she can't get a good look at his face. She realizes the danger too late, and by the time she figures out what's going on, Ed has already driven them to a secluded spot.
Oh my gosh.
He tied her hands behind her back, he beat her in the car, and then he threatened to kill her. He dragged her out of the car into the field and sexually assaulted her. This time, he didn't leave her in the field. He dragged her back to the car, and he proceeds to drive away. This woman freaks out and jumps out of Ed's moving car.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And
same.
100%. And runs screaming for help.
Yeah.
Ed panicked and noped right out of there, afraid of being caught.
Well, good that
Yeah.
he didn't chase her, but this is legitimately out of nightmares where like you like can't run fast enough and there's no one around to help you.
Yeah, like they turned the car around and
I hate
I
this.
told you were going to hate it.
I hate it. You're
I
right.
know. I knew it. The same month, Ed finds a 43-year-old mother and her 14-year-old daughter staying at a remote cottage. In the middle of the night, around 12:30, the mother hears the phone ringing downstairs. She's confused, but she goes down and picks up the phone. On the other end, she hears nothing but a click and then a dial tone. She thought nothing of it, probably assuming it was a wrong number, and she goes back to bed. About an hour later, she hears another noise downstairs. Again, she goes downstairs to investigate, and right when she realizes she isn't alone, the lights cut out.
Did you just get a script from a horror movie? Because honestly, I hate it. I can, you know what I'm picturing right now is The Strangers. Oh. Right? Isn't that the one where
I'm
they're in the
picturing
cabin?
Scream.
Okay. Yeah. But everything about like there's movement outside and
I don't
they're
like
just
lurkers.
creepy.
Yeah, lurking.
I am getting so freaked out because it's like slowly getting darker right now and just you have like lanterns
Enjoy
outside.
a ride home tonight.
Stop because it's going to be dark in my house and I am very upset. All I can picture is The Strangers. That's
Ooh,
it.
I don't like them on a swing set outside when they look out the window.
Yeah. Ugh. I hate it.
Did you
And
know
then-
they said it was like based on real events. It was actually somebody's dream.
Okay. Well, that I don't know if that's better or worse. I can't decide.
That somebody dreamt it into reality.
I hate it. I hate everything. Like when she tries to call and the phone is cut. I hate it. I hate it all. I hate it all.
Let's go back to it. So she sees someone and the lights cut out. She lunges for the phone to call the police, but the line was dead. Ed had cut the phone cord. He grabs the mother, demands money, and threatens to kill her.
I actually wonder. I have no idea. So you said The Strangers was based on somebody's dream, but it sure sounds like it was based on this. Like it sounds so
maybe.
similar.
Pieces
I
of it.
wonder. I wonder.
Maybe they listened to a true crime podcast about the Beast of Jersey and then they dreamt up The Strangers.
It's possible. And they didn't even realize it.
It's a thought. It's a thought.
I'm desperately trying to.
You can keep
interrupt
interrupting
you
me as
so
much as
we
I
don't have
want.
to
I'm
keep
sure.
going.
I'm sure the gremlins want to strangle
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. The mother is struggling with Ed until Ed realizes that the young daughter is standing at the top of the stairs. She had heard the commotion and came out to see what was going on. Ed immediately releases the mother and heads straight for the daughter. The mother runs out of the house to go get help from the neighbors and asks them to call the police. When she gets back, the daughter was still alive, but she had been violently raped and Ed was nowhere to be found.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what I would do in that
That's just-
situation. I don't know. I don't know.
Because realistically, I cannot overpower or fight anyone.
No.
I can't. So what am I going to do? I would have to have like a baton or,
Right.
to even have a
I
hope.
know.
And even then, what if he has a gun? What if he has something that's going to, would I rather her alive and injured?
Right.
That's a tough one.
And maybe in like I know if you're in a situation like a sketchy situation like this, you can get tunnel vision just from like the adrenaline. So I wonder if the mom didn't realize that her daughter was there. Like all she knew in her head was that he let her go, and she was like, "I need to go get help."
Oh, I wonder. Just an
I don't-
awful.
yeah, anyways.
That's about all I want to think about it.
Let's leave
Yeah.
that situation. April of 1960, so a month after the last two horrific attacks we just covered, a 40-year-old woman woke up to find Ed standing in his mask watching her sleep. She started screaming when she saw him, and surprisingly, he took his mask off.
Oh.
Like the others, he tied her hands, let her out of the house, and raped her in a field.
So he isn't killing people.
No, he's just sexually assaulting all of them.
Horrendous.
Right.
But I'm...
No, not a murderer.
Interesting.
No murder. In July of 1960, Ed targeted an 8-year-old boy. Like the others, took him from his home and raped him in a field. Ed then put a rope around the little boy's neck and led him back to the house where he deposited him on the front porch.
Jeez.
It's like,
I'm perplexed by this need to go in a field. Like, instead of...
The only thing that I could think of was that in his dumb brain, he was thinking that it would be much harder to pull forensic evidence from nature.
That's fair.
Though, I mean, this is, the 60s. They didn't really have great...
That's true.
Forensic evidence.
Any kind of, like, and I guess certainly for the younger ones, like, there were probably other people home. So I guess that makes sense.
And he was an outdoorsman. Yikes. Maybe the field did something for him.
Yeah.
But
jeez.
After the attack in July, there was a 6-month reprieve for the island of Jersey. During this time, police continued to try to identify the beast that was terrorizing the island. They interviewed every man on the island who had a criminal record, but nothing came of it. I'm not sure if they interviewed Ed, but I feel like his criminal record would allow him to fly under the radar because it was so old and it was like during the war.
Contextual.
So, yeah. After the 6-month break, Ed picked back up his crime spree targeting children. In February of 1961, he attacked a 12-year-old like the others. In March, an 11-year-old, and then another 11-year-old in April.
God, sick.
The citizens of Jersey were terrified and fed up, and the police were at a loss. It was at this point that the Jersey police phoned Scotland Yard. That's where UK comes in. Scotland Yard basically says that the citizens of the island need to help themselves. Like, they need to find the man and help catch him. So
what do you think they've been trying to do?
I know.
Jeez.
But I wonder how much information was being put out, because again, they were trying not to scare people. So Scotland Yard's like, but at this point, everybody needs to be, everybody needs to be on the lookout here.
Yep.
They put out a profile on the beast for the island. They say, again, he's between 40 to 45 years old, around 5'6", medium build. They said he had a mustache, but that his face was usually covered by a mask or scarf. They advise that he enters through bedroom windows on moonlit nights, usually between 10 and 3 a.m. Laura, your face.
I
picture like a werewolf.
Yeah, and I can't stop thinking about that picture of him. It is...
Oh, do you want to see it again?
No, it's like... It is so scary. It is... There's no other words. It's
it's
frightening.
Horrifying. Because it looks like it came from a horror movie.
Yes, and I can't, it's unfathomable to think of him being in your room and like...
Oh, there's so much more for you to fathom, too.
No.
Yep. He carried a flashlight with tape covering the end, so it wasn't as bright, just like the killer in the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders.
Yeah, he was well-traveled.
Scotland Yard said the beast knew the island well, especially the eastern part. He wore a long thigh-length trench coat that smelled musty, as well as hat and gloves. They told everyone that the man ties a rope around his jacket that he uses to tie up the victims, and some are blindfolded. They said he spoke with a soft, fake Irish accent, and strangely, he mentioned to one of the victims that he had a wife and that his mother died of alcoholism.
That's very strange.
There isn't a good history of Ed online, so I'm not sure that applied to him, but I'm guessing it did.
Yeah. That's weird enough, but also I'm still stuck on the Irish accent. Like, maybe the first time, fine, to try to disguise yourself, but after that, it's like... Or maybe you're intentionally proving that you're the one doing all of this. It just seems like it. Wouldn't you see on the news that this is what's out there?
Everyone knows that you have a fake Irish accent.
You could just stop.
But I mean, he's got the whole ensemble going. So if he's not going to change that, why change up the fake Irish accent?
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
The wig and the mask are his jam.
Good point. Yep.
After the crime spree in the beginning of 1961, Ed takes a 2-year hiatus. Possibly because Scotland Yard is asking everyone to keep an eye out for him with a very specific description of him. But that's just a guess for me.
Yeah. Yes.
During this break, though, the police receive some information and have a real suspect for the first time. But it wasn't Ed.
I figured.
The police seriously look into a local fisherman, Alphonse de Gastelois.
Well done.
as the possible beast of Jersey, and that man is brought in. Alphonse was an avid outdoorsman, and he was described as eccentric. He kept...
I thought you were just going to say he was really stinky.
No.
And that's why they were like,
No.
man, sir, you are musty. Please come with us.
It's the nose. The nose smell says you're guilty. He kept odd hours due to fishing, and he also enjoyed long walks at night. And the kicker was that he used a rope to tie his raincoat shut.
Jeez.
So
Oh,
he
jeez.
looked like a pretty good
Yeah.
fit. And you know what's really fucked up? If you Google the Beast of Jersey, pictures of Alphonse will come up.
Oh,
I feel
poor
really
guy.
bad for him. Yeah.
Now, does he have an accent? Is the real question.
I'm guessing it's French based on his name.
Sure.
But after being questioned by investigators, there was insufficient evidence to link him to any crimes and he was let go. But unfortunately for Alphonse, many locals got it in their heads that he was the beast. His house was burnt to the ground in an act of arson and he was run off the island.
That's awful. This
I
poor
know.
guy is just stinky.
I know.
And isn't even...
You said he
Yeah.
was stinky. He's just like
I
an
know.
eccentric
I'm just further marring
fisherman.
his name. Oh, that
Alphonse
really-
is shaking his fist at the... He's like, I never smelled.
I mean, he was a fisherman, so I don't know. No, but in all seriousness, that is really sad.
I know.
It's actually, we talk about it, not so much on this podcast. We haven't really covered too many cases with it, but like the armchair detectives and
Oh, I know.
like Reddit and all that, like people literally ruining lives because they think they found things out. And like one time they did get the correct person, but there's a reason that laws and due process exist. And that's why.
We have also talked about police finding someone and then cherry picking evidence that fits them instead of trying to prove that they're guilty instead of trying to figure out who did it.
Yes. Oh, so well said.
So that didn't work out. Alphonse got let go, but his life was pretty much ruined.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
If it wasn't clear that Alphonse was the wrong guy at that time, it became clear when the crimes picked back up in April of 1963. A 9-year-old boy was attacked, led to a field, and sexually assaulted.
Jeez.
November of 1963, same thing happened to an 11-year-old boy. 8 months later, in July 1964, another attack on a 10-year-old, and a month later, a 16-year-old boy is assaulted.
Jeez. You know, it makes me think a little bit of Night Stalker in that, like, you know,
It's like a
close
spree.
close your windows and lock them. But what happened in Night Stalker was like he kept going a bigger and bigger radius. This is a very small island.
Yes.
Why on earth would you have an unlocked window?
I don't know.
Why?
And I feel like in this day and age, we would set up, like we've had crime in our neighborhood. So they created like a roaming watch of vehicles and people drive around with like green lights on their cars.
Yeah,
And like check for break-ins.
And this is so serious and it's so awful that why wouldn't you know, maybe it's hot. I get it. But I think that's worth it. You know,
Yeah.
get a fan.
Yeah. A big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
So,
know.
I
Or
don't
put
know.
bars on your window. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
got to be a way.
I mean, that's literally what they did in the Night Stalkers. But for some of them, I remember unfortunately, one woman who was attacked had told her son, because it was an elderly woman, and told her son, not elderly like Velma Barfield, though,
Okay.
just to be clear.
Yes.
But she had told her son, I don't want to feel like I'm in prison. I don't want to lock my windows. So I think it very much is like it can't happen to me, but
Until it does.
Exactly. Yeah. But listen, we both wear our seatbelts, so we're believers in
Science.
I guess it's not. I was going to say it's not the law. Well, the seatbelts are, but
Science.
I'm spiraling hard. Please continue.
Anyways, so after this crime spree, nothing for another 2 years.
Wow.
The pendulum swings.
Swoosh. Or whoosh, I guess. Was your
I
choice
wrote
of words.
whoosh.
Okay.
In 1966,
Did you really?
I did.
Okay.
In 1966, the Jersey police received a letter allegedly from the attacker terrorizing this island. The letter read, "My dear sir, I think that it is just the time to tell you that you are just wasting your time, as every time I have done what I always intended to do, and remember, it will not stop at this. But I will be fair to you and give you a chance. I have never had much out of this life, but I intend to get everything I can now. I have always wanted to do the perfect crime. I have done this, but this time, let the moon shine very bright in September, because this time it must be perfect. Not one, but two. I am not a maniac by a long shot, but I will play with you people. You will hear from me before September, and I will give you all the clues just to see if you can catch me. Yours very sincerely, Wait and See."
Wow. Wow, this is like Zodiac. It's like every horror movie I've ever seen.
Maybe they just like stole all the pieces from this case.
It is. That very much gives me Zodiac vibes.
Although we've had the discussion, or maybe it was it was a comedian I was watching on TikTok where he was
I'm really flattered that you think I'm that funny.
He was like, back in the 60s and 70s, he's like, you basically, if you wore gloves, you could commit any crime and they'd never find you. He's like, so much so that people would write letters to taunt the police and they're like, see you at the next murder. And they just couldn't do anything.
That's why those are my favorite times, because things were that in the 1800s, you know.
You do love the 1800s.
I haven't done one in a while. People are like, thank God. Please stop. Stop giving us the history of electricity. Okay, go ahead.
So not in September, but rather in August 1966, a 15-year-old girl is savagely attacked.
Oh, God.
Like the others, she was raped in a field, but she also had long parallel scratches down her torso, like she was attacked by an animal of some kind.
God.
Thankfully, unlike his letter said, there wasn't a second victim that year, and Ed was quiet for another 4 years.
Oh my! This is where you would start to just feel safe. You'd move on.
Yes.
4 years is a long time. You'd start to just move on with your life and think he must have died or stopped or gotten arrested somewhere else.
But what makes you stop for 4 years, and then what inspires you to start back up again? It's just fucking wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wild. Okay, so 4 years later, in August of 1970, a 13-year-old boy wakes up to Ed's flashlight shining in his eyes. Ed demands the boy gets out of bed, puts a rope around his neck, and leads him to a field. Once there, Ed takes off his smelly raincoat and puts it down. He forces the boy to undress and lay down on top of the raincoat, where Ed then raped him. He made the boy get dressed again, and Ed led him back to his house. And before leaving, Ed tells the boy, don't tell anyone about this, because if you do, something bad will happen to your mother and father.
Oh, that poor kid.
Ed leaves, and the boy goes inside. His parents find him upset and disheveled. The parents asked the boy what happened, and at first, fearing for their safety, he said nothing. He was fine. But he ultimately broke down, and he told his parents what happened and how he was taken by a man with black, spiky hair and a terrifying mask. The boy was taken for an examination, and they found the same long scratches on his torso that were on the little girl in August 1966.
Oh my God. And this is the poor kids. Like, these are, I mean, besides it's physically the stuff of nightmares, but it's also, this is what you're afraid of when you're a little kid. So I wonder if there was a brief moment where these poor kids were like, it's just my imagination. Like, I'm going to cry thinking
it's like
that.
Literally the boogeyman.
Yes. Oh my God. I have full body chills. I
told you we were going to hate it. About a year later, on July 10th, 1972, around 11:45 p.m., 2 police officers were sitting at a red light. A car speeds past them, driving erratically, and blows the red light. Police pursue the car and end up in a full high-speed chase. The other car is sideswiping vehicles, driving on the sidewalks to get away from the cops. Very dramatic. Finally, he crashed through a hedge into a tomato field where the car finally came to a stop. The driver jumps out of the car, starts running on foot through the field. One of the officers pursues him on foot, tackles him, and arrests him on the spot.
Damn.
The officers bring the guy back to their police cruiser, but before they get a good look at him, they got a good smell of him. They said his coat smelled so musty, even outside, and that smell filled the cruiser on their way back to the police station.
Now, I wonder if they immediately realized that, like, because if everyone on this island is looking for the Beast of New Jersey, or the Beast of Old Jersey, sorry.
Just the Beast of Jersey, Laura. Stop just trying to get all fancy.
Sorry.
Once the police get inside into the light and get a good look at none other than 46-year-old Ed Paisnel, they're like, what the fuck? They see that Ed's smelly trench coat has 1-inch nails sticking out of the shoulders, lapels, and cuffs of the coat. He also has cloth wristbands tied around both of his wrists that also have 1-inch nails sticking out of them.
I don't think my jaw could go any more to the ground. I was not prepared for you to say that.
I'll show you a picture after.
No.
I will. They have pictures of the nails.
Oh my God. Because obviously I'm putting 2 and 2 together with putting
scratches.
Yes. And then putting the coat down and making them lay on the coat. Who fucking thinks of that?
Really fucked up people.
I mean, obviously of any of this stuff, but that, oh my God.
Ed's pants were tucked into his socks, and he was wearing slippers and old wool gloves to really just complete the ensemble.
Yeah.
The police searched Ed's person, and in his pockets, they found a flashlight with black tape over the top of it to filter the light, 2 lengths of cord, empty cigarette packs, rolls of duct tape, a black wig with stiff, spiky hair, and a homemade rubber mask.
I hate it.
This man was basically wearing a go-go gadget criminal coat.
Yeah, and definitely could not fly with that jacket.
No.
He would get pulled over.
Yes.
Or whatever that's called. I guess not pulled over. You know, the TSA would have a word with him.
Like, I'm not following. Your joke's falling apart. I
That's
don't
'cause
get it.
I didn't use the right words.
Words are important.
Those are important.
The execution, yeah. The execution of a joke really relies on the correct words.
A for effort, though.
Is it an A? I think it's a B at best.
Ouch.
Anywho, when police sit Ed down and question him about why he was driving so erratically, he told investigators that he was on his way to an orgy. And that's why he was dressed crazy, because he didn't want anyone to recognize him. The police asked him about the nails on his coat, and he said he wanted to be prepared in case anyone attacked him with martial arts. And the police were like, this makes complete sense if you're fucking Napoleon Dynamite. Like, come on.
Real.
Come on.
Oh my God.
The police talked to Ed's wife, Joan, who says that their marriage is rocky and that Ed has a low sex drive, but deep down, he's the most loving, caring man who would never hurt a child.
Wrong.
I know.
And I knew you mentioned that he had a wife, but it still just doesn't process in my mind that he just goes out and does all this in the wee hours of the morning and then just returns home.
I know.
Has a cup of coffee.
This is why he built his annex, so that he could just come and
I guess
go
they weren't
as he
really
pleased.
close, but yeah, okay.
So police are like, sure, Joan. And especially when they search Ed's annex at the Paisnel home, they were like, yeah, okay.
Oh no.
In his house, police found a locked secret room. When they opened the door, they were immediately smacked in the face with the smell of must.
Oh.
The room held an old blue tracksuit, homemade wigs, hats, and false eyebrows. They found a camera hanging on a hook with a giant pile of photos of victims and their houses.
Oh.
There was also a large collection of occult and satanic items, an altar, and a large wooden sword hanging on the wall. I picture the den of that thing from Jeepers Creepers.
Yep.
Like just like a dark, musty, dank,
maybe some
so creepy
condensation on the ceiling. Yeah. This is the type of thing that I would be jazzed to watch in a horror movie, and I'm disgusted and like it's like making my stomach turn to think about this being in real. It's just crazy. Like, it says something about me that I watch many a horror movie. I've watched all of the ones we've talked about.
Yep.
But it's in real life. No, thank you.
See, but it's really funny too, because I was just talking to someone who was like, I'm sorry, I don't listen to your podcast, or like, I love horror movies, but I don't want to hear about it in real life.
Yeah, I get it. I get it now. That's,
I get it.
Could we change from a true crime and do a fake crime podcast? Because
I'm pretty sure there is actually a podcast that gives you a plot and then you have to guess at the end whether it's a real story or a horror movie.
Oh, I thought it was like Hunt a Killer, but like over a podcast.
Oh no,
because that would be really. You had to like figure out who did it. Oh, that would be fun.
I couldn't listen to something like that. I need to
write things out and read it, as proven by when we spent that Sunday we missed Colby on the podcast, but we got to spend time talking about murder. It was just fake murder.
Yeah.
So we hunted a killer
together.
Yeah. It was very fun.
We have a vibe, if you haven't noticed. So following the search, investigators learned that none of Ed's victims in their homes were random. He would stalk these people for months, sometimes years, getting to know their schedule and mapping out their homes. He knew exactly where the rooms were and which windows to go into.
Oh, so that explains the guy standing behind you outside.
Stop it.
I had to just once. I actually meant to say that when you were talking about the cabin where the mother and daughter were. And I was thinking, like, how would you even know?
Stumble across
that?
Yeah,
you wouldn't. You would have probably followed them from their real home or something. I don't know. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh. Police tried to get a motive out of Ed, but they only ever got nonsense mumblings from him. I will put a little asterisk on this that I found this quote in the Daily Mirror, which may or may not be a UK tabloid. So listener beware. But a report in the Daily Mirror said that when confronted with a cross, Ed's eyes bulged, his face turned red, and he started shaking and laughing. Ed allegedly said, "Our master would laugh very long and hard at this. I'm not afraid of the cross. There is a much more powerful emblem than that. Our cocoon is getting larger. The world is shrinking." So
Yikes.
I'm not really sure if he said that, but it does sound pretty fuck nuts. So I wouldn't put it past him.
And it seems like, I mean, if you have somebody doing insane shit like this, I mean, again, I just come back to Night Stalker who prayed to Satan. And it's, of course you're going, I mean, that's the side you're going to be on if you're doing things like this.
You have to be very mentally unwell to have this type of schedule.
The motivation is just he's sick. He's just not right.
Correct.
To say the least.
Ed was charged with 13 counts, including rape and sodomy against 6 victims, all but one being a minor. During the trial, it came out that Ed was obsessed with black magic, the occult, and claimed to be a descendant of Gilles de Rais, who was a knight and lord in the 1400s. Gilles de Rais fought in the 100-Year War and was a guard assigned to defend Joan of Arc. And after being disgraced by King Charles VII, Gilles retired to pursue his own interests, including alchemy and Satanism. People began talking that children would enter Jill's castle and never return.
Oh, God.
Long story short, Jill was captured and under threat of torture confessed to ritualistically torturing dozens of children. He was executed by simultaneously being hung and burned.
Oh.
It's pretty aggressive.
Damn. I feel like that's also what should apply to the Beast of Jersey.
Aggressive,
who I cannot stop saying in my head, Beast of New Jersey. Yep.
So that was like he was really hung up on, being a descendant of him, and he just idolized him. Loved him.
Jeez. Also, was it Joan was his wife? She didn't notice anything a little bit off. I mean, I realize he's in the annex, but like a little bit.
Allegedly.
This seems rather extreme.
I mean, he's off in an annex doing this stuff in the middle of the night. Think of like BTK, who had like a normal life, and his wife didn't know.
He was normal during the day? I cannot believe. I guess you're right, though.
I'm not saying normal, but I'm saying like there's those people in your life where you're like, they seem a little off, but they're fine. And then if you found out they did something horrendous, you'd be like, I kind of always knew it. You know,
right.
But like not enough.
Yeah, you're right.
We know those people.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody knows those people.
Yeah.
Ed was not sorry for his crimes. No. He was proud and said that the masks that he made were meant to disguise him, but also scare his victims as much as possible.
Oh my God, effective.
Concerning his coat, he said the nails were there, so if anyone tried to fight him off or capture him, the person would be injured. On November 29th, 1971, the case was given to the jury, and it took them 38 minutes to find Ed guilty on all charges.
Yeah.
Ed appealed but lost, but he was only sentenced to 30 years in prison. Ed was a model prisoner and was paroled in 1991 after serving 20 years. And he's standing behind you.
Don't even. I know it's not possible, although in your house maybe it is because your windows are always open.
Yeah. So this motherfucker tried to go back to his life in Jersey. And the citizens of Jersey were like, ooh, yeah, how about fuck you? And they chased him off the island.
Good.
And Ed lived out his days on the Isle of Wight until he died of a heart attack in 1994. May he burn in hell and rest in chaos.
Wow. Now, did he just admitted to the women at the bus stops? Or was it just that the MO was so identical that they were like, definitely he did it? Because you said all but one was a minor, so that must have not been all the women at the bus stops.
Think there are a lot more victims that are attributed to him than he was charged with.
Yeah.
And that brings me into my one additional grim fact to add. Ed was investigated as a possible suspect in a horrific wave of child abuse allegations at the foster homes in Jersey. Including La Preference and Hotel La Grande.
Oh, okay.
A team of police officials launched an investigation called Operation Rectangle, which was tasked with investigating the various claims of physical and sexual abuse occurring in the various foster homes. The 5-year investigation led to a more than 2,000-page report, which identified 192 potential victims and 151 named suspects.
Jeez.
Of those 151 suspects, only 8 were charged and 7 convicted due to alleged cover-ups. During the investigation, the police found witnesses who alleged that the Beast of Jersey may have been responsible for some of the allegations, but there was never any firm evidence. Operation Rectangle was told by a former resident of Haute-la-Garenne that Ed crept into the foster home through the windows wearing his mask and gloves. Ugh. Someone else told an officer that he saw the beast use chloroform while children were sleeping and carry them from their beds.
Oh, Jesus.
Paper trails confirm that Ed was a frequent visitor, at least for legitimate purposes, but given his crimes, I don't doubt that he haunted those halls at night as well. So again, that leads me to believe there are far more victims of this guy than we will ever know about. So there you have it.
I was wholly unprepared for that entire start to finish. I'm still blown away that this is not in the United States. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, but nothing to do with Atlantic City. No boardwalk.
No.
Nothing.
I'm so sorry. Instead, it has to do with a mask that will haunt your dreams for
It really
weeks.
will. I am displeased with that. It's way scarier than I expected.
I will cover his face so that I can show you the nails and stuff, because it is.
I want to see.
I know you do.
I do. I know. Like, there's a reason I'm here.
I know.
But man.
Yeah, he's really fucking creepy. And when they show like they had like a police officer like put on his outfit, and like when they just show like he sort of made like a cartoon figure on the cover of the book, and it's
yikes. Yeah, and I hate all of these. I especially hate the young victims. I hate any victims, but I hate the young victims. I'm glad he didn't kill anybody. Yeah, but that's a pretty low fucking bar. Mm-hmm. You know, like if that's what I'm ending as a positive note, it's not great.
And honestly, though, I feel like we don't talk about a lot of cases where there's just like a rampage of sexual assaults. Like it normally ends in murder.
There's a reason we don't, because it's fucking miserable.
I know. But it does normally end in murder.
It does. Right? Yeah, it is actually. I don't know why. I guess maybe he didn't want to kill anyone, but I don't know.
Either that or like the news just don't cover serial rapists unless they have like some insane backstory and
it's also strange that he was able to get away with it for so long with how blatant he was. So yeah, I don't know, maybe they just don't get away with it for as long.
I mean, it was the 70s though. Sure. You didn't have like Ring cameras and stuff. Like I don't know. No. And how much lighting was on the island? Probably not that much.
Yeah. But that was so scary.
I know.
Because you'd be just walking probably to the grocery store and you'd wonder, you wouldn't maybe be worried at that point, but you'd just be wondering, am I looking at the person who's doing all this? Because it's
never
so
take the
small.
bus. You can't take the bus, and you can't leave your windows open.
That, well, you may have a different opinion after my next case.
Okay.
The bus is going to sound good.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to go to bed now and sleep with my window open. So
I'm not leaving. I can't go outside by myself. Sorry.
He's waiting.
Stop.
If you're enjoying listening to Grimm, which Laura is not, please rate and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts to make sure you don't miss any episodes. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make our day by leaving us a written review. You can find our page on Facebook by searching Grimm: a true crime podcast. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, you can go to Patreon and search Grimm: a true crime podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Grimm Crime Podcast for information on future episodes and case photos, including the very disturbing mask, which I will make sure that I don't post late this time. I apologize for my late postings recently.
Slacker.
I am a slacker. If you want to send us a case suggestion like Kate H did, or just say hi, you can email us at grimmcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Listen, learn, and stay alive until next time, because the future is grim.